Hey friends, welcome back to the Curiosity Café. I'm Beth Salyers, and today's episode was someone who lives the question of community in everything he does. Mark Bernstiel is a coordinator for programs at Mission Investors Exchange, also a bit of a potluck philosopher, attention experimenter, and all around very thoughtful human. In this episode, we talk about seasonality, sustainable curiosity, and the emotional courage it takes to act on an idea before you're ready. From locking his phone in a case safe while we're on this call to drawing handmade invitations, Mark brings a deeply human approach to the way we gather, focus, and connect. This one's about what happens when we enjoy something enough to do it anyway, fear and all. Let's drop in. Isn't that serious? Hello, everyone. I'm Beth Salyers. I'm the host of the Curiosity Cafe. This is Mark, and I am so grateful for you being here. We have already been talking for 7 minutes because that's how our conversations do. We usually jump in it and we go real deep and we talk about something that I could talk about all day long. And you shared a gorgeous book that you think I would you know, anyways. And then we were what were we?
Talking summertime,
Summertime
we're talking
and
seasonality.
seasonality and then Calendly.
Cal,
And
there it is.
that's what you were like, you should push. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, here we go.
big fan because life's and sometimes you just have to reschedule. And um, if I ever met someone who never had to reschedule weekly, monthly, quarterly, I'd be like, you're lying. Like, I'm not. I don't believe this at all. So, anyways, enough of that. Mark, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for inviting me into the Curiosity Cafe. I meant to have my cup of tea, but I don't. I don't know. Do you have anything for the cafe?
I
Any?
I have I have lemon
All right.
water,
I have
but
my water. Cheers.
cheers. Look at us staying hydrated. We were just talking about summer and heat. So,
My name's Mark. I'm Mark Bernstiel. I Yeah, introducing myself. I mean, I work. We met through the Southeastern B Corp sustainability work, and I lived in Birmingham for about 3.5 years before moving back to Philadelphia, where I grew up, and I still work in the impact investing space. That's what I get paid to do, is support foundations with programming and networking and their learning, so they can make the most impact with their endowments. So
yeah.
yeah, and I could that's what I get paid to do.
I love the honesty of that, and I find myself doing that more and more too. It's like, here's what I get paid to do. Here's my W-2. Here's my side hustle. Here's how I hang out. Which I don't know, kind of goes to what we were talking about seasons, right? Eating with the seasons, your cadence changes. But also just acknowledging it's 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. I'm probably at a computer working,
Yeah, spend a lot of
right?
time
Right.
doing what I get paid to
Anyways,
do. Yeah. Yeah.
this is my favorite question because especially with you, I enjoy our conversations so much because you are a naturally reflective human, always asking yourself and others good questions. Um, and I always leave our conversations going, I'd never thought about it like that. Or you put seeds in my head of And so right now, what are you curious about these days?
Yeah, it depends on the minute. I mean,
Right.
as of 10 minutes ago, I'm curious about how seasonality and sustainability are interlinked. So I'll chew on that.
Hmm.
Before I joined the call, um, this morning I was curious about the news from New York City with Zohran Mamdani being winning the New York City primary. So I'm curious about what that means for the city, for the political landscape in our country. Um, Personally, like where my mind has been wandering, I I'm really curious about how, and we've talked about it, but this is where my heart, I've been saying top of heart instead of top of mind, because my mind goes everywhere, but my heart usually stays in like a general vicinity. So what's been top of heart is how our local economy, whether it's small business owners,
Mm.
um, our commons, like our parks, like how those spaces, the people that care for those spaces and create those spaces, how they impact our social fabric. So
Ooh.
like how we relate to each other, how we belong, um, how we care for each other. So I'm really curious about anything that relates to that. Like I hosted a potluck for the first time this past weekend,
Yeah.
and that was like related to that curiosity because um,
What what was the pop-up? Like you heard about it, obviously. You chose to go to it, and then what was it like? Like what was
yeah. So I hosted it.
Oh, you actually
Yeah. So I had it here.
doing the damn
um, yeah,
things.
yeah.
Yes.
It was an imperfect potluck. So I I turned 28 last Friday on the summer solstice, and I was like,
Day.
"Thank you, thank you." And I that's what oh you can't see it here. I had like everybody write down one word for summertime. We got a lot of Phillies fans, as you can see. So we'll see about that. But yeah, it was like a summer solstice birthday celebration, and everyone was invited to bring a dish that they'd never made before.
Ooh.
And that's what made it imperfect because like usually when I go to someone's home or I'm going to like a potluck, I want to make something that, I feel proud of that like
You know how to do, like,
yeah, yeah. So
crowd pleaser,
yeah,
right?
yeah, invited folks to contribute that way. And food was delicious. And it was mostly people that didn't know each other too. That's just how it ended up working out with summertime, people being busy. And so a lot of like the connecting threads between people like weren't here, but like friends of friends were. And it was wonderful. And so I like that is related to my general curiosity of how people are relating to each other these days. Um, like something like that feels like, and someone saw. I think his name's Dave Norton. I don't know him personally, but I follow him on Instagram. And over the last 6 months of the chaos of things, one of the things he said was like one of the most like radical or like one of the most influential acts that you can have right now is like go knock on your neighbor's door that you don't know and ask if like if they want to share dinner. Like, hey, I'm gonna make extra lasagna. Do you want some? Like, and vice versa. So I'm experimenting with that as being like really important, just because that's where my heart's going, and um, we'll
Love
see.
it.
I don't think the imperfect potluck changed the world, but I do think it changed the world.
Yeah. Well, it changed people's worlds, right? Um, what a that is awesome. Well, first of all, okay, I have two questions around that. How did you conceive of that idea? And then like, because I think a lot of people have ideas, but then to pull it off is a whole other, like the action of doing it and committing to it and like saying yes is one. So I'm curious how that was. And then post, as you're looking back on it, what are your takeaways
Right.
doing that?
I'd love to talk to you about whether it's now or after we're done recording about that first part,
Mm.
uh, because I I read like this idea that like ideas and inspiration and dreams come to us all day long or like all the time, and what makes us act on them or what makes us neglect them.
Mhm.
I have like I'd love to talk to you about that because that feels like really important in this season. Um, so but for
Bring
me,
it
what
down. We
made
will
this
come
idea?
back to that.
Yeah,
Don't you
yeah.
worry.
Okay, cool. Because I have like a quote that from a Howard Thurman book that I read recently, and it's just like shook me. Um, what made this idea come to life? Hmm. It was chewed on for a while. I have this poster above my desk on how
Mhm.
to build community, and it probably has like 20. I'll just show you too. Why not? You're getting a whole tour of my office. Um, let me,
Lovely.
yeah, let me just do this. Um, See this?
Oh, cool.
Okay, cool. Um, so I don't know, the artist name isn't on here, but I saw this out in the city once, and you can see like host a potlucks on here. So I think I've like thinking about how to do these things a lot,
Yeah.
and um, a lot of times I don't do them. Like the idea does not come to life because it's I want it to be perfect. So as soon as I put the imperfect like aspect into it, it was like, oh, I'm inviting everybody into the thing that I'm afraid to do. And I had a friend say, like, that's not fair. And I was like, well, they can say no. Like,
Like you can decline the invitation, right?
yeah, or they can make something that they've made before and
Like,
be a little dishonest.
right.
And
You're not in a court of law. Like you're not
yeah,
like
I was
you do
not
you.
checking them at the front door, like, you
Have
know,
you made this?
yeah. And some people brought like somebody brought water ice from John's Water Ice here in the city, like
Mm.
spot, and like they didn't make that, and they've had John's Water Ice before, and it was a wonderful contribution. So like,
It
the,
worked. It still worked.
right, and I think part of that is they contributed, of course, through that gift, but also through talking to somebody they haven't talked to before, or like
Yeah.
I'm sure there was something imperfect about their time here. So it doesn't necessarily, and like that's what it was about.
Yeah.
So that's how it came to life. And I think what I'm
That's
taking away from it is is how naming the thing is really, really important because like that's what made the potluck happen. Other things that made it happen were like not just naming it, but inviting people that I trust and will support what I care about into it. Because like so many of the people that came were like enthusiastic about it, like I was. So that made it easy. So the people like who you're inviting into the fold matters a ton. And then the last is I just didn't get to talk to people as much as like with the quality of conversation that I would have liked because I was like, does everybody have a drink? Has everybody eaten?
toast, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's new to me. So that's something like when you say like what did I learn from it? It's like probably more preparation. I was making empanadas for the first time an hour before people arrived. Like I probably could have made those like a couple like a day before or. So I think preparation in order to like support the presence is something that I want to experiment with for next time. But I mean, this just happened on Saturday, and I'm still like, if I show you the floor of my office, you'll see that I'm still cleaning up from the gathering. So we won't do that. But yeah, those are all the thoughts from the time.
What a
Let's.
brilliant event. And congratulations for doing that because I don't think we congratulate people on the actual act of taking a seed of an idea and how hard it is to choose the idea, to commit to it, and then to do it. Um, so fucking hard. Like it's not easy. And I love how you put that wording of imperfect. It sounds like it gave you permission. It gave other people permission. And with that, it sounds so simple. Like most things that sound so simple are usually the hardest things to do and to pull off. But I want to, in reflection, I'm curious about like how to build off of that. Like,
Uh-huh.
where else are we holding ourselves and others back by simply withholding permission? Whether that's in a naming, whether that's a very explicit, please come and fail and make a mess, and we're holding this space for you to be safely
Uh-huh.
trying.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
Feels very profound right now because I think I've having quite a few of these conversations, and then I'm constantly watching people's interviews and process conversations. I'm fascinated on how things, especially artists, right? How they go from I had an idea and then I'm going to actually create something that did not previously exist.
Mm,
Um, and it just seems that doing the prep work in order to be able to actually show up, so that when you do show up, you're there.
mm,
You're there and you're not going, I hope I don't say the wrong thing. I hope I don't screw this up. I hope my empanadas don't taste like shit. Like, I hope people come. Like, all those different things that go through our very human brains. Um, have you had experiences that like inspired you, that you've been, you were the host this time? Have you had experiences that helped get
mm.
you to that place as a participant or guest or invitee?
Yeah, it's a really, I'm sure. I mean, I'm a big believer in like the how everything folds into like I'm sure so many of my interactions and people that I've met, like their spirit encouraged me as like possibility example for doing something like this. So nothing in particular comes to mind. Like I wasn't like I went to a potluck and I was like I want to have, but I've been to potlucks, so I'm sure that
Right.
there's
Right.
um yeah, and what you're saying too of like permission feels also kind of like a limiting word, right?
Mm,
And like I clearly have a pattern of that. Like that's something that I've noticed over the last few years of like and not just in myself, like I want to give other people permission. I want to get permission from others. Like if I just like, setting expectations seems important. So like there's just like this balance of like nobody needs my permission to do what they to be themselves, to bring their ideas to life. Like
right.
I want that for them. And still like there's this period that you're talking about of like idea, inspiration, dream, and then like it's brought to life and it's
Yeah.
imperfect. It might not be ideal, but actually it's even more perfect because it's existing. It's in the world.
Right.
So I'm wondering about that. And there's plenty of moments where like even like to genuinely plug what you're doing here. Like this is you have an idea, you wanted to do something, you wanted to explore, and and it's not just in this medium either. Like you're doing it across mediums, and I like reading about it as well. So I think when I see people that I trust and respect
Mm,
doing, even if like you're saying, like artists, even if the art form is not my own,
right.
that inspires me to be like, oh, let me try my thing. I handmade the invitation. Um, I'm glad I have it nearby. So
That's fantastic.
um,
That's
like
well
this was
played.
art, and like, I mean,
Yeah,
look, the Ben Franklin Bridge.
that looks really
Like,
good. Like,
I, it could be it. Like, I could tell myself that this probably like looks like it could be drawn by someone much younger than me. Um, that's judgment. But my point is like I was just like, oh, I'm feeling inspired to create, and I think it comes from other people in my life doing that.
yeah, because right, that's art in itself. Like, you just created. It's very easy to go on to Canva or one of those Evites and be like, or a text, right? But to actually put pen to actual paper and put colors to it and draw. Um, and I love your phrase of possibility examples, because when you're talking about permission and it being a limiting word, and I really appreciate the fact that you brought up of like, I don't, what, for me, it's a power thing. Like, permission also the other side of that coin is power, like who has the power to give permission. Um, and I think power always is an important conversation in times. I think there's uh, lots of concrete examples right now of that and wielding power and permission and how we give permission through our actions, or we deny permission through our actions or words or whatever we do. But I love the phrasing of possibility examples. Takes away from me the punitive aspect of it and really taps into, like in your instance, able to go to your own agency and be like, I'm just gonna fucking do it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna host this. I've got this idea, put together an invite. These people are cool. They're not gonna come and ransack my house, set it on fire, and like call me names like that. That like survival instinct or that, and you're like, and I'm just gonna let it be whatever it is. And then you use language to help convey to yourself and others that this is not a black tie affair that's going to be judged and on page 6. This is turns out to be a perfectly imperfect potluck.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I
That's so cool.
yeah, I love I'm glad that this naturally came up because I was talking to friends about it since Saturday, like this idea coming to life piece, and I'm happy that we were able to name it here. And I'll be continuing to like be curious about it too. Um, and something I heard as you were talking,
Mhm.
I also did things that I enjoyed, and like that made permission just kind of not be as cognizant because it was like I enjoyed making this. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
might have not enjoyed making a Canva because I'm on a computer all the time and it's not the same. And so I
Right.
enjoyed doing this, and then I enjoyed sharing it with others. And I think I was also like, if other people are uncomfortable or like judgmental of like a handmade invitation, I was like, that is more reflective of their unmet need rather than it really doesn't have anything to do with me because I enjoyed doing this. And like, if nobody came to the potluck, I I was gonna try empanadas for the first time. Like, I mean, I've had empanadas, but empanadas that I've made. So,
Right.
yeah, I this like way of like the enjoyment felt like a
Mm,
way to welcome in the permissioning or like that step
yeah.
uh, in like a pretty seamless way. It's like, how am I enjoying it?
I feel like you've subconsciously in your brain answered a question that I like floated to you before we um pushed record was how do you know you're in a space of rejuvenating curiosity? And I think you just described it because you're like, I enjoyed it. So it was rejuvenating energy. And what is it? An object in motion tends to stay in motion. So if you're an object enjoying something, you're probably gonna keep doing it.
Huh.
And that can take you through from the outside looking in, the sticky bits where a lot of people would be like, oh, but what if it fails? What if it's not perfect? Um, and you chose something that gave you that energy to push through any sort of the mind gunk that we all have. So how do you, and it also goes to sustainability, right? It sustains you. So after hosting an event, I know so many people will host an event and afterwards they're like, I need 3 days just to recover. And I was like, I never want to feel like that. Like I never want to go to a social, I don't want to go to anything and come back home and be like, oh, let
Yeah.
me close the blinds, hide from society, and just try to recoup. And I know how that feels very viscerally.
Hmm.
Most people do. But you came out of hosting, it's your birthday. It's like a summer solstice holiday, right? There's energy around this.
Mhm.
Um, you put in a lot of work and you seem really rested, rejuvenated, engaged.
Hmm. I I feel like that's more I my partner was doing more, if not like just as much, if not more than me. I had close friends here, like everybody, um, not everyone, but everyone, like everyone contributed,
Yeah.
and I did most of the cleanup. And I guess that kind of like we were talking about preparation, that was like a way to integrate or digest or reflect on the gathering.
Yeah.
Now looking back on it, I mean this just happened, but and it still is. Like I'm just this is part of that too. So I
Yeah.
think I'm well rested because I've given myself, or I was given the chance through cleaning up, through time with friends. The gathering was on a Saturday. A few
Mm.
friends, we were together on Sunday and like talking about it while also like having our day. And I think that integration and reflection le- has led to like my peace with it, which is probably why I seem well rested.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, is that how, I don't know how that feels for you, but like, and that's something I'm like constantly like trying to tell myself,
Yeah.
like, I don't meditate or anything. I've always been curious about it, but like reflecting and like that is like necessary time, you know? And I do it like, but I not as a practice. And I think that's why, like, for this instance, I have had the chance to do it, but
Yeah.
for others, that doesn't necessarily happen, you know?
I think two things come up for me. One is that you've tied all this back to community and the role of community, that this was not just a solo lift, right? This was many hands making light work. Um, and then you also brought up this physical digestion of it. Like, I think, brain science is out there pointing us directions that getting into your body and doing physical movement, there's no, it's not a coincidence that people have like fantastic ideas in the shower or on a run or cleaning the house, not in front of their laptop, like, but they're just out, just out doing things, but moving their bodies.
Mm,
Um, and then also that we know from learning, um, if we've all crammed for a test, right? We've all crammed for the test I'm guessing, crammed for the test, took the test, everything flew out of our brains, right? Because we didn't integrate and reflect on it. We didn't integrate it into the schema that already exists. We didn't bake it in to a meaningful way in our brains that we could then digest the information, attach it to prior knowledge, deconstruct prior knowledge, and then implementation of that doesn't happen. That's why cramming can work if it's a static test and you're just like, y'all, I just got to get a C and get out of this class, right? That's now the goal. But if the goal is true integration of learning, which I hear people talk about a lot, but they're missing that very key part at the end of it of you need time to process. And I think in our world of like back-to-back Zoom meetings or faux urgency, and then we're like, so a lot of people ask me, they're just like, we have all this content for our employees, but they just don't seem to get it. And I'm like, first of all, there's no shortage of content on the planet, right? You can go to YouTube University, ChatGPT, Google, and just find, or TikTok, and find almost anything, any topic, right?
uh,
The problem isn't content. There's content design aspects, right? We could nerd out about, but that time to sit and process and integrate it into our own lived experiences, that's where it sticks. And if you're like, learn this, now go to this meeting, now go over here. And if you have kids, like, go pick up the kids and then go over here. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, you're asked about the thing you read and you're like, I read? Well, of course. Right. And I think that we do such a disservice. And I think that's why appreciate you lifting this up because I've talked to a lot of people on here about social media.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up. Yeah.
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 Um,
Because and I thought of it too, right before you said it.
I think there's like a double-edged sword, at least the way I'm thinking about it right now in the moment, is that we're here and we're not digesting much, right? We're just like, that's pretty, that's cool, blah blah blah. I'm laughing. Oh, like, right, our reaction. And I think that on the flip side, though, that there are longer form videos, especially like on TikTok, and people are teaching something, and people are glued to it because the dopamine's going off, right? You're engaging with this thing, and our fingers are very happy. But there is sometimes more reflection time on the apps. If you're not just continuously scrolling and you're watching, like my friend Gina is talking about a book and it's a 5-minute thing, and she walks you through why she read it, what is it about, how it connects to current topics. And you're like, oh, and it
Uh,
gets you to that place. So I'm,
yeah.
what's coming up for you and all that?
Yeah. I love that. And this is the conversation again, like if we're going to talk about sustainability, our attention and our
Mm,
ability to focus. I mean, that might be all we are. And like I when I think about the structure of belonging, like in
mm,
where my initial curiosity goes, it leads to this social media attention economy
mm,
uh, immediately. And sometimes when I connect that thread, people are like, "Those are different things." But it, how are we going to be in conversation and community with each other if we can't focus on anything for more than 5 seconds? If we're goldfish brains, and that's how like your friends 5 minute video, it might be hard for a lot of people to, when they get to that video after watching 6 second videos for 20 of those,
mm.
like it might,
5 minutes.
right.
Right.
So
Hmm.
what's coming up for me
Yeah.
is we need like radical and I think we need regulation, but because I think it's too addictive for the everyday person to just break by themselves, especially when they're working all the time. They're in uncomfortable situations,
Right.
they're they're exhausted. Like it I'm not a brain expert, but um the dopamine, the like
Yeah.
I've read a few books on it and I follow people on social media that talk about using social media intentionally and less, which is also like this like
It's
um
trippy.
paradox. I think embracing the hypocrisy there is important because like that's where the
Mhm.
people are.
Yeah.
But I mean personally, like what's coming up for me is I have my smartphone,
Hmm.
and then I have this Apple Watch that I got a 3D printed case for to make it into like a little phone.
That's so cool.
And like this is I'm experimenting with and then what I have is a case safe, it's called. This is recommended in Stolen Focus, a book by Johan Hari. There's a box too. So you can here, I'll do it with you on the phone. Um, and this is just like an experimentation of a solution. I'm not
This
sponsored by
is so
Case Safe or um, but
disclaimers. Whatever
right,
disclaimers
right.
need to be
So this is
said.
my process usually, and when I do it right, I feel amazing. So I put my smartphone in here, and then I could lock the case safe up to 14 days. Uh, I'll do an hour right now. Yeah, we'll do an hour. And so I press it, it counts down, and
Oh,
uh,
it's
and so the only way to get it out would be to break the box. And like, I don't have children. I don't like this is not going to work for everyone, but why it does work for I think more people than they expect is I tried doing the flip phone as my second phone for like a year,
yeah.
and it was difficult with different phone numbers and things like that. This is the same phone number, and I currently pay $10 a month for unlimited like data on the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So anything that's going to my phone is going here. But like
Hmm.
social media and all email and all those things, like I don't do that on here. And it's when I tell people this, they look at me like I'm crazy. But I'm just trying to protect my attention. And
Mm.
I work from home. And not only I'm trying to protect my attention because I want to honor my time with other people. I want to honor the work that I'm doing. And as somebody who's really curious, there's a world of content information out there that I can just chew on. So um,
Yeah.
I really got on my like influencer soapbox there for a moment, and thanks for letting me do that. But
Please.
that's where you ask where I'm going, and like this is where I'm trying to figure it out. And I hope that like we'll have more system and cultural solutions to like this balance. Um, and we do in a way. There's a few people that are working on that. One being abstinence is a project by my friend Gabriella, and like personal coaching for people to like leave social media for good, and that's one method. So um, we could get into like the leaving it for good or a healthy balance, and that's
Great.
we're all trying to figure it out. And I hope that but this is me trying to figure it out. So we'll see.
I
I love it though. I
I
love it.
appreciate you bringing up that it is a thing to solve for yourself or to be curious about, and then to treat it as an actual experiment. Like what does work? And I appreciate you sharing it with everyone because I don't know a single person that I've ever talked to who has not had that own self-reflection of how long was I on that app? What didn't I do? How much time did I lose? Or if it's doom scrolling, then they feel really bad after. Like there's a lot of shit going on. Um, and so I think that uh, one, talking about that, it helps norm that experiment. I know a lot of people, delete the socials off their phone for 3 months, right? And some people are like, oh, I didn't miss it, so I'm not bringing it back. Or they have the little, someone else on one of these conversations was like, no, I go into the app and I say, um, after 15 minutes or after 5 minutes, kick me off. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, she goes, I didn't realize how much time I was spending on it and how many times I just picked it up without thinking, putting my finger on where the app would be and almost like coming to and going, what? It's
Yeah.
almost like an involuntary, because it's still addiction, right? It's still like smoking, trying to quit smoking. Like it's a, you know, complex things are going on. Um, and it's not going anywhere. It's not like social media and the internet and technology is going to somehow take us back to different times. So I really appreciate you sharing that you're in the midst of this experiment and that tool. I'm, I felt apprehension for you when you put that in there. And I was like, oh,
That's what.
now fair, like if you had kid, we live in a day and age that if you have kids, you'd want to be able to like
But I
get
think
to them right
yeah,
away.
you
But
could
you
get to me
still
on
have,
this.
like your, bond, like, what do you need?
Yeah, and I usually keep it on a watch too, but I like having it in little phone form, because then
That's
I'm totally free.
that is one of my favorites. Like just not having anything like that in my hands. That also looks like the old so iPods.
Yeah, yeah.
Back I was like, does he have an iPod? Like I
Right,
don't.
right. We're going back to, that's what's funny about like dumb tech, like it's like I'm paying I have a remarkable tablet, and it's
Mhm. Oh yeah.
like I'm paying a lot of money and a subscription for paper. Like, and it's
Right.
not just paper. I mean, it's uploading it to the cloud, and I can download PDFs, and it's a reader, and I can write
Right on.
and
Yes.
whatever. But like, all this technology is so new, and we had like tablets, like paper tablets for human history. So, I mean, I
I
just where I'm not, again, I'm not the person about this, but I do know that it's something like no matter who you are, politics, like everyone, I have this conversation with everyone. And I think that shows that like there's something really important that we need to um, heal and take care
Yeah.
of and care for. And that's what I'm trying to do. So yeah, if anybody's watching this and they want to like nerd out about it, I'd love to. I'm This is the other thing I'm curious about. Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious because like just the process of going through that, like I 1,000 miles away felt anxiety for you putting that in there. And I was like, I assume like with most things, practice makes better. So the anxiety, the cortisol level probably goes down after doing it
I'm
repeatedly.
curious. So you're can I ask about your that? What is that? Where's that feeling coming from?
My anxiety for you, it's an excellent question. Like that again, back to your earlier statement about like if people didn't want you, like it says more about me than you. That you putting your own phone in a lockbox for an hour. I was like, like, wow, like, but then in my mind, I was like, oh, that's something to notice about myself. Like, what if even if I hop onto work here and put my phone in the front room, and let's be honest, I have two effing laptops sitting right here. Like, people can get a hold of me. Um, but even just to have, like, it makes me reflect on my own habits of how much, like, just having it in my hand, it has tricked my mind into giving me some sense of security. Not that it's not security. Like I can, it's a safety measure at some point, right? But there's such even the weight of it, right? And I think that's fascinating of what that's able to do. And it also ties back to what I was also thinking when you're talking about all this tech that's coming around and we're paying for a subscription to have paper. It made me think of your handwritten invitation and brought up the question for me of what it's so overcomplicating things. Like at what point are we overcomplicating things to our own detriment for curiosity, for just having a good time, for being creative, for um, being sustainable? It feels like there's the way you describe your event feels fairly uncomplicated.
Uncomplicated.
Yeah. Of how you like in a it feels very, how about this? It doesn't feel uncomplicated because I think that there's a lot of complex emotions, thought, practices that go into pulling it off. But it feels like, I guess I'm using uncomplicated in a way to think it feels very human. It feels very essence of humanity to
Yeah.
want to belong, to want to create, and to be in community.
I love that. And I'm reminded of a it- so like as a general principle, a friend told me talking about AI, ChatGPT, like they were like, if you have a question, what if you ask three people before you ask ChatGPT? And it's like, whoa, that's a pretty radical, like, I'm alone in my home. Like, what am I going to go out and be like, hey, like, do you know how? Yeah, right, right. But like that question is,
Ooh.
and to me, it's a question of being more human, because like that is the more human. Like the human thing is to ask other humans. It's so it's not to like totally rely on technology. So um,
Ooh.
I think as a principle, like maybe that's how things move. I don't know. I Because you brought up like ideas don't happen here; they happen like with physical movement. So maybe it's like being more human is a good is a good general. And that again, like it's like not earth shattering, but when I hear you talking about like uncomplicated, and I I generally enjoy more human experiences than the less human one too. Um,
Same.
Um,
Same.
yeah, I don't know. I and then we get in a lot of people say like, "Oh, so you don't think we should have phones?" Or like, "You don't think we," and like it's like, "Whoa, let's slow down." Like I'm just saying like let's like locking my phone in the box. I don't not have my phone anymore. I just don't have all those things like I don't I've heard other people say like it's a tool, right? And like if
Mm.
social media is a tool, why am I like carrying it around on my couch to the grocery store in the bathroom? Like why would I be
Because
carrying
if you
that
were
tool
carrying a
everywhere?
hammer or a wrench around,
Yeah.
like, Mark, what the
What are
hell?
you doing? Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Why do
why are
you
you in the grocery store with a hammer? This feels really
it would even be it'd probably be like a jackhammer because it's so powerful and like, it'd be but it's
right.
like so it's like
And
why are you
attention
lugging that
grabbing.
around? Why are you lugging that big thing
Like,
to take your
dude, are you trimming, like, are you
Yeah,
cutting
what am I
trees in
what am
the,
I trying to do? I don't know. And
uh,
I don't know. It depends on the moment. I liked how you said mind gunk too. I wrote down mind gunk
mm,
because things to help. It sounds like for me, I'm gonna be more curious about the physical movement as a way of integrating and processing, and also like being more human as a way of like moving from the heart space rather than like the mind gunk space. Uh, I feel like that's something I'm feeling I'm feeling pulled towards from this conversation.
and right back at you, this, I think you embody, without saying it so much, that yes and, like that first rule of improv, which I think is also like the first great rule of life, yes and, because it's not, so you don't think we should have phones? No, dude, like, come on, don't be, you're just being antagonistic for, I don't know, shiggles? Like, of course not. Um, but this idea of mind gunk, and it brings me back to what you're saying, instead of top of mind, I'm gonna think about that and come back to you and be like, but top of heart? Because those, one, are less changing, right? Our minds are doing all kinds of wacky things all day long, but top of heart, your values, like what actually lights you up, for most people, those things are pretty anchoring.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm really lucky to like be in a place right now with people who care about what's top of heart for me. I'm lucky to be in a position in life where that feels achievable. I feel hopeful about like the top of heart. I see it manifesting in other possibility examples, and I also like and there's times when I don't like what top of heart feels very distant, even like, it depends on the hour sometimes. So I think I'm naming that because maybe it's community then. Like if
Mm,
what's top of heart feels distant, um, reaching out to people who are exemplifying that out in the world already might be a good step to like letting that flow out of you as well. Um,
mm.
and that can be hard and scary. So I, I just, what I'm naming is like, I want to, you know, it, it's a, oh, I'm show and tell. That's what this is.
Love this. I love
Please
this.
give me this. Feelings are for feelings. And I don't really know what this means, but I do. And I think with this top of heart, it's like important to know, um, yeah, like what they're for, and I don't know. I feel it with other people, or like I hope trusting what's top of heart is important is like a
Yeah.
scary thing to do. And I'm just thinking of people who might not be trusting that for
Mm,
a multitude of reasons.
right.
And I hope that like if you're feeling that way and you want to push back on everything we're talking about here, like reach out to Beth or I, right? Let's talk about it. Let's stay
Yeah.
about it. Because,
Absolutely.
yeah.
We're here for dialogue because we're all just trying to figure this out, right? And I think it goes back to your point beautifully made of it's about community. And you feel, um, you hear that phrase of like, find like-minded people, which I think keeps us in our head. And after this conversation, now I'm thinking about that, like find like-hearted people and be there and assume that the rest will take care of itself. And I think that's, um, puts us better in that possibility examples as opposed to in that mind gunk, right? Like-hearted people. So two final questions for you. One, what advice do you have for someone who's like, that's intriguing. What's top of heart for me? How do I know? How do I trust that? What advice would you give for someone who's like, I want to be able to articulate what's top of heart for me with confidence, and obviously knowing that, this can shape shift as we experience our lives.
I'm gonna, what's worked well for me, like the advice that I've been given through example and directly, is from my friend Matthew Grande, and it's around this enjoyment. He like what came up for me is like I'm intrigued by what's top of heart. So how can you enjoy exploring that? Like how can you genuinely enjoy exploring that? Like not how can you achieve it immediately, like obtain it, but like what would make you enjoy exploring what's top of heart for you? And for me, like because like I have books that I want to read so badly, and then I'm like, I'm gonna wait for the perfect time to read this book. And I mean, you can tell, you know. So I, and then I think, okay, how could I most enjoy this? It would probably leaving my phone at home,
Mm,
going to a coffee shop that I know I'm gonna have a comfortable chair, but not too comfortable, so I'm like, dozing off, like, and I have a pot of tea, and I'm like, and I feel like I've given myself an adequate amount of time, slow pace, to really enjoy this. And I think same with this. It would be like, how could I really enjoy exploring what's up heart? It's probably a close friend that I trust who's going to be curious and ask me questions,
right.
and we can explore together. I mean, it's probably going on a long, slower walk with a friend,
Mm,
and okay, maybe you don't know who that friend is right now. Like I think whatever feels within reach that you would enjoy,
mm,
that feels like the best next step. And
yeah.
right now it can feel somewhat selfish. And you and I talked about this last time we talked. Like,
Mhm.
is it wrong to make art at this time? And it's like, oh, it's probably most necessary to make art at this time. And the same goes with like enjoying this. Like at times when I'm like, it felt somewhat silly for a moment to have a potluck. Um, like, oh, look at me, like making a cute little, like who do I think I am? Like with the world in the state it is. And I'm just trying to trust that like that energy is letting other contribution flow that supports how I show up in
Yeah.
all the ways. So it's my advice is what we talked about earlier. Like really genuinely enjoy it.
Yeah. Thank you for that, because I think that's, again, that enjoyment aspect, leaning on enjoyment as opposed to outcomes and outputs and all this stuff that our brain gunk in our business worlds and our capitalistic society is so focused on. Enjoyment is that's like rejuvenating curiosity. It keeps you in it. And I think that um, it's also heart based. Like I don't find myself a brain scientist. It doesn't feel, I wouldn't think that enjoyment is first felt. You don't think it. I think you feel it first. Like you feel like, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying taking colored pencils to paper and creating an invitation to send to my friends. And that's the purpose. and just like going to the coffee shop. And the purpose is to take time and space to feel and dialogue and sit and be undistracted. That's the objective. Whatever comes after it, cool. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I have trouble enjoying silence. Like, for a lot of folks I've heard, Angela Duckworth said recently, like at a graduation speech, like our phones are adult pacifiers. So, like, to your point of like enjoying the reflection, like I like this is like I think pretty basic mindfulness, but it's like, am I letting myself enjoy that, or am I like so wired? So that's why I lock my phone in a box because it's like I gotta like um and there's ways that you can like set boundaries, but I think sometimes you might need a boundary too to
Yeah.
like to let yourself enjoy something, um whether you have personal shame or outside externalities that are like
Yeah.
trying to take you away from it.
And I don't think we acknowledge the fact that that's a skill in and of itself. To pause, take time, and to let yourself sit in the presence without reaching for fill in the blank distraction, like that's a skill too. And we don't formally practice that for sure in our schooling, and for sure not as normed in any workplace that I know of. Yeah.
I I'm going to explore how to nurture that skill.
Mm,
Um,
same. Same. Um, as always, to be continued. That's how our conversations go through a, a soon to be scheduled Zoom or Google Meet or emails. Um, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Beth. This is so fun.
This is so,
I can't think of like a way. This is great. I've really enjoyed this. I
I
feel
did
like I'm
too.
contributing. I didn't expect to talk about my potluck at all. I didn't expect to have a little show and tell.
But here we are, and it's been like the best start to a Wednesday. I'm just like,
Thank you for I like and so you put words to a lot of. I was getting it out, and you were giving it back through your own. So you've given me a ton to chew on.
right, you as well. I've got I've got thoughts, questions, follow-ups, things I'll be
Yeah.
wondering, and to be continued as always. But thank you so much. Where can people find you, follow you, support the work you do, all those good things?
Yeah, for this time, I'm still on social media. LinkedIn is a great way to connect. Um, so Mark Bernstiel is my name, and also reach out to Beth, and connect us. Like always, down email, phone. I'm in Philly, so down to connect in person.
Always, right? That getting back to that community. Actually take
Yeah,
a walk with someone in a park.
yeah. Give me a call. Yeah, yeah. Let's go on a walk.
Mark, thank you so very much. And as always, to be continued.
Yes. Thanks, Beth. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye.